my goal in my life has been to get to a place where I live from a place of God realization. That is, that there are different kinds of love, and I aspire at this time in my life, at the age of 72, to live from this place and this place only, so that no matter what kind of pressure is put on me, no matter what I hear, the only thing I want to come out of me is the kind of thing that came out of your beloved founder. This is not just a prescription for building a wonderful country, but it's a prescription for creating a world in which we can finally, once and for all, rid ourselves of the violence and the hatred and the bitterness and the tension and the fears and the wars and the kinds of things that so dominate the media and the kinds of things that we are hearing every day in our lives. So it seems to me that there are really two selves that we have within us. One of these selves is called, I call it the ego, E-G-O. To me, it is a synonym and an acronym for edging God out. And my teacher in India, Nisargadatta Maharaj, called this thing, this ego, he called it the false self. And the false self is a belief system that we have that tells us that who we are is defined by certain kinds of qualities and characteristics. We are told that our identity is in not so much who we are, because we can't answer this question. So many people have difficulty. If I were to ask the question, and I've done this many, many times with patients when I had a practice many years ago, can you just answer the question, who am I? As we contemplate that simple little question with 3 words, who am I, what comes out very often is all of the things that identify us with this false self. And the false self is really the part of us that believes that who I am is what I own, what I have. So if we begin to believe that who we are is identified with what it is that we own, then we have a tendency to say, the more of it that I have, the more important I am, and the better than I am. And so we'll also spend a big hunk of our life going after and trying to accumulate as much stuff as we possibly can. The ego is also defined by something called what I do or what I accomplish, so that my identity is all tied in with what it is that I can call my accomplishments. Who I am a writer. I have written this many books. I have this business. I do these kinds of things, and we sort of identify ourselves this way. But I think back to what quantum physics teaches us, that nothing in this physical universe arrives here from, they say that probably the essence of quantum physics is that particles themselves do not originate from particles. That every single particle that makes up the physical form of the world originates someplace else. It originates in what we call non-form or non-existence or spirit or the invisible. And this invisibleness is inside each and every one of us. We originate there. We come from nowhere, N-O-W-H-E-R-E, from nowhere. And in one split second, we go from nowhere to now here, N-O-W-H-E-R-E. Exactly the same, just a little bit different in spacing. While we're here in now here, we recognize, if we're really honest, that where we're going and where we're headed is back to N-O-W-H-E-R-E. The poet T.S. Eliot once said that we shall not cease from exploration, but at the end of all of our exploring will be to return to the place from which we originated and to know it for the first time. I think the poet was speaking about death. My feeling is, and my writing and all of the work that I have done in my lifetime is based upon the idea that we can come to know the place from which we originated without having to leave our bodies, without having to die. That there is something within each and every one of us. One of the great messages of the New Testament in the Christian faith from Jesus was, even the least among you can do all that I have done, and even greater things. That it is within each and every one of us to be able to create miracles for ourselves, to be able to heal ourselves of any infirmity, to be able to attract whatever it is that we place our attention on. But the problem with this is, with the development of the ego, is that we have come to believe that being ordinary is our dharma. It's what it is that defines us. And when I use my hand up here like this, I use this part right here at my waist approximately to represent what I call ordinary levels of consciousness. That we come into this world, we are told that you will be identified by and defined by what it is that you accomplish, what it is that you own, what other people think of you. It's another component of the ego. And that you are separate from everyone else, and that these are your limitations. These are the things that you're capable of creating. This is exactly how far you can go. You can't get to a higher place than this. So accept your lot in life. But for me, I have never done that. I was very lucky as a young boy. I lived in an orphanage until I was 10 years of age. And while I was moved around from place to place and didn't have the advantages of having parents that were mine until my mother got us all back together again when I was 10, my father just walked away and abandoned his family. He was, by all definitions, a bad man. A man who was an alcoholic, a man who was very abusive, a man who had no sense of his responsibilities, and left my mother with 3 little boys under the age of 4 to raise by herself. He just disappeared and just went away. And I find it very fascinating because one of the things that I learned in those earliest years of my life is that self-reliance is probably what my dharma was. I came into this world, I believe, to teach this whole idea of self-reliance. And self-reliance means that you go within and you rely upon the self. When you ask the question, who am I? And you define it on the basis of what you have, what you do, what your reputation is, what other people think of you, how much you own, then you keep yourself from reaching this, what I call up here when I move my arm across here at this elevated level, reaching this higher level, what I call extraordinary consciousness. That it's something that each and every one of us have. The same vision that the founder of your country had is something that is possible for each and every one of us to have. Even the least among us have within us the capacity to raise our awareness. The problem is that we are so fixed in our subconscious minds on what is what our limitations are and what we can't accomplish and what is impossible for us to do. And we get so fixed in on this that we literally begin to act as if this were a reality. So if you are interested in moving to this place where you can indeed perform miracles, where you can create the kind of world for yourself and for others around you from this higher place, if you can get yourself to that place, the only way that you can do it is by changing your concept of yourself.